Hi, I'm Vicki Wright Hamilton, and welcome to Ignite. Are you ready to spark your passion and fuel your leadership journey? This is where ambition meets action and transformation truly begins. Let's light the fire and keep it burning. I am so happy to have my guest back again today. She truly lights the fire and keeps it burning. Deirdre Breakenridge, welcome to the show. I am so happy to have you. For those who are not familiar, she is the CEO of Pure Performance, and she is one that is about an expert when it comes to emotional intelligence, communication, the importance of truly having a good life, if you will, when you start talking about that communication balance. Welcome, Deirdre. Glad to have you.
Thank you, Vicki. Great to be here. Thanks for having me on your show again.
Oh, no problem. I tell you, my audience just is going to enjoy you this time as much as they have before us. I have always enjoyed your content, your solutions, and the things that we can do to make things happen. So I appreciate that.
Well, thank you.
I want to start a little bit about when we start talking about authentic relationships. And we're beginning 2025, and you got a lot of people out there who have businesses, who are leaders, who are really trying to start the new year the right way. And I'd love for you to give our audience an understanding of how do you really build these authentic relationships and what steps can they take to ensure that these business relationships are meaningful?
Well, first off, there's such an opportunity to build relationships, but you have to put in love into the relationship. If you think about it, what you put in is what you get out. And that means being fully present and giving of yourself. And I think that's where all of the distractions that are around us today pull us out of conversations. And we're not really there and we're not listening. And it starts with listening, Vicki. And if you're listening and there's plenty of models that we can discuss, then you're getting to know somebody and you can help them and be giving of yourself.
Do you have any listening models you would love to recommend to the audience or talk about that would allow us the opportunity to begin that process?
Yes. So I have a favorite, a new favorite. It's the SEER model. So that's SIER. And it starts with sensing. So that's the S. And rather than just listening to build a relationship and continue a conversation, you're sensing with you're listening to the tone of somebody's voice, the way they inflect, maybe the words that they're using, what's their body language, and taking it all in. And at that point, you can move to the I, which is interpret. And now you get to decipher. This is an important part. You're analyzing what is it that they want you to know? Is it what they care about, what they're interested in, what concerns them? So you can move to the E, which is evaluate. And at that point, you have to check your bias because it's there. And then also apply your logic and really the significance. What is significant about this so that you can respond with mutual understanding? And when you respond, if you use that listening model, you're also able to be a little bit more vulnerable. And that's what it also takes to build trust in a relationship.
Well, I want to expand on that model a little bit because I think what you're bringing up are some very critical areas that are important when we start talking about listening. And you said something that was very key. Check your bias, right? How are we sure that as we're moving forward, we're not prejudging or that we are not letting our past really impact what's going on so that we think we're listening, but we're really hearing?
Yes, and we all have bias. One thing that you can start doing is asking more questions. When you ask more questions, you're going to get a better understanding. And far too often, what ends up happening, we tend to look for what makes us feel better and what resonates. And that's our confirmation bias. We seek it all the time. Rather than just taking an information that makes you feel good, take the opposite and ask questions to expand your knowledge and to open up your perspective. And I'd say that that's step number one.
I agree with that. And as you're talking about really looking at, being open and really understanding and listening and those kinds of things, I'm sure that through your work and through your people that you have spoken to and you've been coaching and working with, etc., that there are some common mistakes that people make when they're trying to build this trust and trying to move their businesses forward. Can you talk about some of those mistakes and what we can do to overcome them, especially as everybody's trying to do what? Thrive in 2025, right? Move that business up and get more of that business. But anything you can give us along those lines?
Sure. First off, you have to make sure you're reliable in a relationship. Somebody can count on you. That's a building block to trust. You also have to make sure you're credible, that you're telling the truth, you're honest, and you have ethical communication. You also want to make sure that there's a level of intimacy, meaning that you know about the person that you're building the relationship with. You don't know it all. You can't make assumptions. And the more you listen and learn, the better off you're going to be. And yes, empathy does play a part. And then you also have to keep your self-orientation low. In other words, when you want to build a relationship, it has to be that it's mutual. It can't be all about what you're trying to get out of the relationship. And that's where people fall short.
Tell me a little bit more. Can you share some examples of that?
Sure. Even just when you're seeking out a new client, prospects, you're at an event and you meet somebody for the first time and you're jumping into business so quickly. First of all, they don't know anything about you. It's that sell first. I want to get to the possibility that maybe I'm going to get this person, I can email them and then maybe have a meeting or have a lunch. That's moving too quickly. You're missing all the opportunities, even just to learn and find out and to have that intimacy piece.
I'm gonna play a little bit of devil's advocate with you. One of the things that I remember as being a very, very busy executive, you know, um, and I had peers that were like, "You better not come in here selling me begin. You better get to know me." Blah 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 blah. I was so focused on what I did. It was like, you don't have to come in here and try to play nice. You don't have to come in here and all of that. I just need you to come in and tell me how you're going to help me. It's really all about me and how you're going to help me, right? How are you going to help me get my goals? Is it going to be an increase in productivity? Is it going to be an increase in revenue? Is it going to be, you're going to help me get something done fast? I just want the facts and to the point. And so I struggled as an executive because I wasn't about those relationships. And it used to drive me crazy when salespeople call, "Oh, how you doing? I have time for small talk. What is it that you want? What can I do for you? And let's get it done." And deciphering that when you're building relationships with people, I have found to be extremely important. Now, I will say that as a business owner, one of the things I do is when I go after clients is I try to understand, are they more of an introvert, more of an extrovert? How do they really do things? What are the words that they're using on their LinkedIn, on articles and all of that? So I can understand if their relationship, so I know that I need to go in and build a relationship. But it's such a hard thing when you're at networking events and you're talking. It's like, yeah, if I just exchange a card with you and I'm just having casual conversation, will you really remember me? And are we really building starting a relationship? Because you really just have a connection at that point. And it's really about that person remembering you. Any advice you can give on deciphering those two?
So you have to be on your toes. There's no doubt about it. When you meet somebody who wants to get down to brass tacks, then go there. But think about it's still a part of the equation. Vicki, you're pretty much saying that person better have low orientation. That self orientation has to be super low. Me, 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 me. And they just have to get that. They might meet somebody. I remember I think it was one of the guys on the All In podcast. I don't remember which one, saying that when he goes to events, the last thing he wants to do is talk about his job. He doesn't want to talk about that. That he'd much rather talk about interesting subjects, and that's how you get to know him. He's a venture capitalist. That's the way that he's going to be, and you just have to recognize it. I think the formula is different for everybody. And if you're good at what you do and you're a good communicator, you will pick up on that.
And I couldn't agree with you more, because I think everybody is an individual. And if you give them what they need, how they want to be treated, what's given to them, you have more likelihood of a success. And I will tell you, as I started as an entrepreneur, it was a quick lesson that I'd learned. Everybody wasn't like me, get to the point, let's get it done. Even though I built relationships as I was going along and had great relationships, but I learned the importance of really doing my homework. And that's what caused me to do the homework, so I could have more emotional intelligence as I move forward. We're going to take a station break. We'll be back. I can't wait to continue this conversation, because I really want to get into how we're navigating communication in the digital age. We'll be right back.